Hi, thank you and welcome. This session is Securing and Operating Your Cloud Network with Ease. My name is Paul Kankar. I'm a Director of Networking Solutions Architecture with Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. I'm part of the product management organization that brings you networking features. You heard from our leadership today, Yogesh, who also is part of the product management organization, and I'm here today to give you some more technical details on the features that we have recently released and share some awesome tidbits on what we have in store for you. Just want to remind you that some of the features that I'm talking about today are not yet released, and they are covered by our safe harbor statement. Earlier today, you spoke with Yogesh, and he told you about the scalable and cost-effective networking for your workloads, how you can secure your design, and how we are providing complete visibility. Today, I'm going to primarily focus on security and visibility in the solutions I'm going to share with you. There is a significant amount of focus in these areas for Oracle during the first half of this year, and I'll be happy to share with you some of the features that are going to help us achieve these goals. A brief overview of what we will be covering today. It's going to start with IPv6, and then we will cover our usability and observability platform enhancements that we think you will love. After that, we're going to talk about some application acceleration and delivery and have an opportunity for Q&A. On the line today, I have multiple solution architects and product managers from the networking team, and I encourage you to ask questions as you go. We will nominate some of these questions to be answered live at the end of the session, and others may be answered in line in the chat as we go. If you do not have access to see the questions, please check out the chat box on our Oracle Live website. First is IPv6. Last year, we released initial IPv6 support on Oracle Cloud. And wow, this was a big project. We started by really holistically looking at what our goals were for accomplishing with IPv6 and Oracle. We wanted to take a standards-based approach that gave us a long-term commitment to advancing IPv6. And this means we had to make some very significant investments in how we looked at transitioning to IPv6. Instead of focusing on transitionary solutions, such as network address translation or other interim fixes, we put a focus on going native, which means introducing native support for IPv6 across our resources. Why do we want to do this? Well, there's a lot of different focuses. Scalable and scaling your workloads cost effectively is a lot easier when you're not constrained by the availability of IPv4 address space. As you may be aware, the cost of IPv4 address space on open markets is starting to approach $50 an address, whereas IPv6 gives you the ability to have unlimited IP address space. Virtually, there's tons of address spaces for every person on this planet, more than you can ever need. This helps address cases like Internet of Things, mobile networks. We're also seeing a lot of customers are having requirements to do business with government organizations or other forward-thinking organizations that are requiring IPv6 support. There's also certain regions where we're seeing a lot of real strong push. Most of that's due to both accelerated technology adoption or scarcity of resources in those regions. But particularly in APAC regions in India, we're seeing a lot of push for IPv6 adoption. Again, it goes without saying, IPv4 exhaustion is a major element in this. As an overview, today, we have recently released full east-west and north-south support for IPv6. East-west means you can have compute resources on the cloud, such as two VNICs, and they can talk to each other. You can also do north-south and talk to your on-premises environment via utilizing connectivity solutions such as Fast Connect or our IPsec VPN solution. Alternatively, you can also go over the internet through an internet gateway. On-premises access is through a dynamic routing gateway or a DRG. Oracle will allocate a full GUA IPv6 address to your tenancy upon your request, giving you a large number of routable IPv6 addresses to utilize throughout your resources, both for communicating externally and internally. We do this via dual stack, which means you can have a v4 address and a v6 address assigned to the same VNIC or network interface for your OCI resource, providing a transitionary solution allowing you to support both IPv4 and IPv6 concurrently. Additionally, a lot of our resources, such as our load balancers and our network load balancers, do support IPv6, and they can also help you bridge the gap, such as by having an IPv6 front end and retaining your existing IPv4 backend servers until you're ready to make the transition end to end. This is available now and today, and in the future, we are making further efforts to provide IPv6 everywhere. We're going to do this with the goal of having feature parity with IPv4. This means not only will Oracle services have an objective to natively support IPv6 going forward, we will also be introducing additional IPv6 services for you, the customer. Coming soon, you're going to have bring your own public IPv6. So if you have an address allocation from a regional internet registry, you can assign that address allocation to your resources on the cloud. You can import this very similar to your own IPv4 address space and have both your own address space that you control the reputation and posture of, and also an address space with portability if you need to move it between regions or locations. We are also going to be introducing EULA private IPv6 address support. EULA addresses, for those that are networking engineers, are kind of like the RFC 1918 space of IPv4. They're unique local addresses, in this case without overlap, but they're administratively assigned to your site and they're utilized for communications with your on-premises environment. They are not internet routable. You'll be able to use EULA or GUA or both on a single network interface on OCI and utilize these to talk to both north-south to the internet or in your on-premise or east-west between resources on the cloud. This will allow you to use your operating system source address selection methodologies and address your IPv6 migration in a standards compliant way. By providing full support for IPv6 native communications throughout all resources, both GUA and EULA addressing, we are giving you multiple options so you can adopt IPv6 on Oracle in the same way you have chosen to adopt it in your on-premises environment today. This will reduce barriers to adopting the cloud, and you can use one of these features without the other. If you decide one address type or one IPv6 migration strategy is a priority to you, you can let that be the focus. One more comment about IPv6 before we move on. We have seen great adoption in this, and I can tell you that there are both mobile app customers that are utilizing this to provide native end-to-end communications between phones and their head-end application server fleet, and other gaming customers that have adopted this technology. They're seeing great success with it on OCI, and this is available for you now. If you do want one of these features that is available soon, these are coming very soon publicly. But if for some reason you want it earlier, we'd be happy to try to help. My email address is at the end of this presentation. You can reach out to me directly. I want to focus next on observability and usability. Usability and observability is probably the number one focus that we are placing on the first half of this year. We have multiple feature enhancements that are arriving to help you have a better story on how you visualize, use, and manage your network. I'm going to review some of the recent releases in observability and usability and talk about what we are doing now. With these enhanced observability and usability features, we intend to create a circular cycle that allows you to observe and monitor your resources, troubleshoot and manage them, and then not only that, give you the tools to visualize the changes that you have made to your environment. This helps fulfill our vision that we spoke about this morning of having complete visibility to ensure you have operational ease of use. This is going to be the priority area of focus for the first half of this year. The first thing we're doing is enhancing metrics, and you probably can see some of these right now, and the rest of them are coming very soon. There's going to be standardized metrics across all network interface elements, surfacing drops, errors, security rules, throughput, performance, and more. These will help you understand when Maybe your instance is receiving traffic that is blocked by your security posture, or the amount of traffic and packets per second that your instances are sending. But not only did we normalize those metrics on VNIC interfaces for instances, which you can probably see now, we are also adopting these standardized metrics throughout our gateways and our other networking resources, such as private endpoint-based services and load balancers. This means you'll also soon be able to go to an internet gateway or NAT gateway and see the volume of traffic it's placing, how many connections per second, and other throughput metrics to help you understand your utilization and performance on Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. By hopefully standardizing these metrics, there'll be a more consistent approach when it comes to troubleshooting and understanding problems. Firewall logging and flow logs are another very interesting aspect on Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. These help achieve your observability and monitoring objectives for networking traffic on your cloud. Right now, firewall logs can provide information on the traffic that is going through your network and the traffic that is passing between instances, VNICs, and other resources. We surface metrics such as whether the traffic was allowed or dropped, the bytes, the destination addresses, ports, what applications you might be running, when we first saw and when we last saw that traffic, throughput of that traffic. You can utilize this data either through a monitoring platform that you control or manage or natively on Oracle Cloud. This data is available in OCI logging, where you can consume it and run queries on a large amount of data. And you can retain the data on OCI logging for an extended period of time. We support export of this data. You can send it to things such as object storage for an indefinite low-cost archival. And you can even send it to OCI streaming, which provides a Kafka-based stream, allowing you to stream your logs to leading third-party on-premises logging and SIEM management systems. We have many integrations available with the top vendors in these fields. We are also adding some new support in flow logs. We're going to add granular enablement so you can express your enablement policy in the context of a subnet, VCN, tenancy, in addition to just a network interface. This can help ensure you capture all future traffic and you meet other more filtered goals. We're going to express additional fields in our log records, such as TCP flag monitoring and other information on the resources as they are presented. We're going to introduce filtering support. Let's say you don't want to see flow logs on all the web traffic that's hitting your instance, but you want to understand when anybody tries to SSH to your instance. You can write a 5-tuple filter like an NSG and apply that as a filter for the flow log capture. Sample monitoring is also being introduced that will allow you to capture flow log records, such as 1 in 1,000. Maybe you want a representative sample of the traffic and traffic profile that you are seeing. In addition to adding support for private endpoints, load balancers, and more features and services in OCI, we are also providing the ability for you to scale your flow log solution based on adding these other more granular knobs. Full packet capture. That's the next big thing we're going to bring you, and this helps the troubleshooting and management story. Full packet capture provides a copy of all the traffic entering or exiting a network interface. Now, if we just talked about flow logs provides metadata. It really looks like a connection log or a firewall log. VTAP or full packet capture provides the entire packet, the whole thing. And it sends it to an IP address, which is typically another instance on the cloud for consumption as you wish. You could run TCP dump directly to view the contents of the packet. You might run a SIEM or a monitoring solution, such as an IDS, intrusion detection system. Or you might run a piece of software that's specialized in retaining and archiving traffic indefinitely. This is very similar to what you'd use like a span port for on a traditional switch on a network. If you're in a highly regulated industry that insists on retaining a copy of all traffic that passes through your network, this can help you achieve that goal. You can also use it for threat modeling or even troubleshooting to see if traffic is arriving at your destination or understanding why your application may or may not be performing as you desire. There are a lot of different tools and use cases for this. And we encourage you to take a look at it and see how it might work for your goals. We're also introducing some enhancements to our network visualization tool. And let me tell you, this is a tool that, from those of you who've used the earlier versions, the feedback I've received is just astronomical. You love to be able to click a button and get a visualized view of your entire virtual cloud network on Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. You can view all your resources such as IPsec VPNs, DRGs, VCNs, VNICs, gateways, routing, security information, all in one place. This takes all the information that's distributed in various locations throughout your tenancy and provides it to you in one clear view. This can help you when you're troubleshooting, and this can help you when you're trying to perform other elements or operations on the cloud. It also helps for our, documentation, or if you need to share or offline archive resources, or to determine if you configured the cloud correctly. This helps you visualize changes, such as ones that you may have made through troubleshooting and management tool, and which leads to eventually being able to observe and monitor these changes. We are introducing additional support, and I will be giving you a demo shortly, of containers, storage, export capabilities, such as sending it to a PDF or an image file, resource availability monitoring. You're now going to be able to see the operational state on this tool, such as, is your VPN tunnel up or down? Is your Fast Connect up or down? I will show you this in more details here shortly. I'm going to jump to another window here where I have Network Visualizer loaded to give you a preview of what this tool looks like. Give me 1 second. To access the Network Visualizer tool, you click this menu up here, you go to Networking, and you go to Network Visualizer. Once you do that, you just need to make sure you select the appropriate compartment, which you can change by doing Change Compartment. Once this is performed, it will go ahead and render the view of your network. This is an example of a network where, at least in the view right here, I have 4 different VCNs. A few of them are, these two are connected via a local peering gateway, and they are all connected via a DRG. I have 2 IPsec tunnels. You can see if I zoom in, this is an IPsec tunnel to my on-premises environment. There's customer premises equipment here on my on-premises running software called LibrasOne. Here I have this IPsec connection with tunnel 1 and 2. This IPsec connection is then connected to this DRG, which has attachments to multiple different VCNs. These different VCNs can each be clicked, and you have different resources for things on the cloud. If I click on one of these resources, I can see more details on what it is. I can click View Additional Resource Time. I can go to VLAN. I can go to subnets. I can look at different content that's present. If I want to change one of these things, I can easily just click this, and it'll load the configuration page for that resource on Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. Additionally, if I look closely, I can click on one of these and see my routing. For example, this will show me all my routing rules that are going in different directions. The destinations will show here, and you can use this to help troubleshoot different routing situations that you may have. Additionally, I can click a VCN, and based on here, I can get a dedicated routing map or a dedicated security map. For example, if I click View Security Map, I will have the ability to see what security posture is applied to resources in that subnet. This will include things such as security lists and network security groups. In this case, it shows that I have two subnets that both have this default security list applied to it. And we can see here how these are all interconnected throughout. There are no network security groups. Otherwise, the network security groups would show here with the resources that the network security groups are applied to. If I want to change any of these, I can just click on the security list, go to view additional resource details. I can see the contents of this security list. And I can go ahead and make changes if I want in order to change the security posture of that instance. This tool really helps me visualize and understand where the resources are in the cloud. It also helps after I make change for monitoring or other solutions to validate that my corrections had the necessary effect. I'm going to go ahead and go back to the PowerPoint. Just give me 1 second, please. All right, we just completed a demo of Visualizer, and the other product that I really want to share with you today is Network Path Analyzer. Network Path Analyzer is a next generation troubleshooting tool and is really designed to allow you to express an intent and determine whether that communications is successful. For example, your intent might be you have a web server that you're trying to reach from the internet, or you have two instances that are trying to talk to each other. You can express that intent and that communications path through the tool, and the tool will analyze your configuration and your topology and will provide you details on why they are or are not able to communicate. You can use that information to troubleshoot, take corrective action, rerun the test, and visualize the changes in Visualizer. This helps you, look at a visualization of your communications path in context of a specific declared intent or connection journey. This guided journey will help you validate the successful results of this with visualization. We are going to use for our demo today this topology. And I'll go over this more in a second, but I just want to give you a brief overview before I go into the demo. Here we have a client that is connecting from one VCN to a network load balancer, and this is working successfully. Our network load balancer is actually telling us that this connection path with the arrow to the backend servers is unsuccessful and that we are unable to connect it. And this connection is going from one virtual cloud network to another virtual cloud network via a dynamic routing gateway. It is taking this communications path. We're going to ask Network Path Analyzer to analyze why the network load balancer is unable to reach the backend server. And it's going to provide us some guidance on why it thinks this path is unreachable. I'm going to go ahead and play a demo that shows this product in action. To use Network Path Analyzer, we're going to go here to the menu, select Networking, and then select Network Path Analyzer. Once Network Path Analyzer is selected, it will show you the Path Analyzer test that you have saved and give you the option to create a new Path Analyzer test. Since we want to show you the workflow on how this product works today, we're going to go ahead and create a Network Path Analyzer test from scratch. Although I have already saved the test we're going to be performing today. I'm going to go ahead and click Create Network Path Test. Go ahead and give the test a name, which we're just going to go ahead and call test. Once this is done, we need to select a source and destination to perform this test. Since this load balancer is trying to reach the backend server on TCP port 443 or is secure web server traffic, we know this protocol is TCP. So we're going to go ahead and select TCP. We want to go ahead and select the resource being the network load balancer originating the connection. And in this case, that is NPA demo NLB. We also want to select the destination, which is the IP address of the resource we are trying to reach. From the diagram, I can see that this value is 10.2.1.152. A destination port must be specified. Since this is a web server, this will be port 443. We will also leave bidirectional checked, which means it'll verify not only that the traffic can get there, but the return traffic is going to come back as well. I will go ahead and click Run Test. At this point in time, the service will reach out to your network configuration and make an analysis on whether this traffic is permitted and routed correctly from your end-to-end destinations. Once this is complete, it will provide an overview of the path and any problems that it finds. While we're waiting for this to complete, we will do a quick review of what the topology looks like that we are testing. On the presentation slide, which is on the screen here, you can see that we are testing the traffic going from the network load balancer to the backend server. Again, this is the path that originates from here and goes to here. If we go back to the topology overview slide, you can see how this relates in the entire picture of the network. This traffic path is illustrated as these two blue lines that are present right here. Since this traffic is failing, and we know these are web servers on the back end, we can utilize the source as the NLB and the destination as the backend server's IP address. The test should have finished now, so let's go ahead and review the results. The Network Path Analyzer has shown the result as predicted and lists the hop as unreachable. In order to find more details, I can click the down arrow and navigate to the test to view the detailed results. Within here, it says the ingress security access control is denied, which means we have not created the necessary rules to permit the traffic from our network load balancer to our backend server. To diagnose this further, I'm going to go ahead and pull up the security list rules that we have in an attempt to determine why this is happening. We know this is secure web traffic, which means it must have a security list rule that allows traffic from the NLB towards the backend server on port 443. If I look at my existing rules, the error becomes obvious. I have made a typo down here, and I have specified port 444 on accident for my security list rule. I can click Edit and modify this rule and change it back to 443. After doing so, I can go back to my network path test and rerun the test. This is simple. All I need to do is scroll back up and click Rerun Test. At this point in time, the test will re-execute in an attempt to tell me why this traffic should or should not work. My expectation is it will find a valid routing path and the security rule will allow the traffic to pass. If this happens, the test results will show it has passing and it will provide the hop by hop behavior as the traffic reaches the destination. While this example shows one use case of network network path analyzer, you can utilize this for testing connectivity, not only between cloud resources, but also between your on-premises environment in the cloud or the internet in the cloud. This can help you troubleshoot, find the problem, perform a solution, and then you can go back and visualize the corrective action in Network Visualizer if necessary. Again, here we can see the hop 3 is now shown as being successful. And if I scroll down for details, I can see that explicitly it is telling me the reason it is successful is TCP port 443 rule on this access list. This is the same access list that we just made the recent change on. It also validates the return path, which is to make sure the return data flow can reach back from the backend server to the network load balancer. This is the return traffic on the same network connection, since network traffic is unidirectional. If I want to rerun this test in the future, I can go in and click Save Test, and this will save it here. And anytime I want in the future, I can just click my test here and click Run. I will go ahead and delete this because I do not need to retain it for the purposes of this demo.
Well, thank you for joining me for the demo for Network Path Analyzer. And I hope you'll agree that this tool provides very valuable methods to be able to see what your network traffic is doing on OCI. I'm going to go into another section here in a moment. But before I go on, I just want to remind you that on the oracle.com Oracle Live section, you can join this. If you're not watching it there, you can join this video and submit any questions you may have.
There will be an opportunity to get a live answer to your questions here in about 5 minutes. And any that we are not able to get to, we will provide a written response in the chat for you. All right, let's move on real quick. Application acceleration and delivery. This is another area where we have some focus on this year. First and foremost, is we are introducing Fast Connect MACsec. So we have introduced this, and this allows you to encrypt traffic that is arriving on a direct Fast Connect connection to the Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. This provides a means to give secure connectivity to your tenancy for private traffic and encrypt it at line rate with no packet loss and high performance encryption. MACsec is the leading technology and can do line rates all the way up to 100 gigabits with fully AES encrypted traffic. This will deliver the traffic encrypted to our data centers, or if you're reaching another Oracle data center, Oracle also utilizes MACsec encryption throughout our metro and global backbone networks. This helps ensure your traffic remains secure anytime it is leaving an Oracle data center. So we also have introduced our CDN partner program. This provides zero egress cost traffic for CDN traffic going to CDN partners. If you currently are hosting CDN content on Cloudflare, you can retrieve that content from Oracle Object Storage without incurring any egress fees. This is available anywhere in North America and does not require any explicit activation or enablement on your behalf. Traffic for egress traffic from Oracle Object Storage in North America to Cloudflare CDN network is automatically waived from your bill. This allows you to adopt your compute, your storage, and other workloads needed to support your CDN traffic on Oracle Cloud without having to worry about data egress costs holding you back from adoption of data distribution. For example, we have customers that will take video, modify them, render them, and produce usable and consumable content for the field. They'll crunch these numbers on Oracle Compute resources and place the data on Oracle Object Storage. From there, they set up on Cloudflare a CDN distribution, which points to the Oracle Object Storage backend. As a result, they do not incur any data egress charges for data that is outbound towards the CDN network. We are also introducing web application acceleration on the load balancer. This includes operations such as caching the content to reduce redundant requests to your backend servers for content that has been previously or frequently served. We are also enabling compression. So if you have a backend server or resource that is unable to compress its assets locally and bandwidth is a constraint between you and your end user, you can have the load balancer use its web application acceleration compression feature to gzip compress that before serving it to the client. This is in addition to SSL termination and acceleration offloading and enhanced client certificate management, where you can pass client certificates to the backends for useful in use cases, especially high security or machine-to-machine communications. These resources help you use the flexible load balancer, which is scalable, to scale and deploy your application globally without having to enable these features directly on your backend server fleet, and instead allows your backend server fleet to do what it does best. We now have an opportunity for a Q&A. Before we go there, I want to put my name up here and my email address. You can reach out on behalf of the product management any questions for the product management organization, I'll be glad to help. Whether you have questions about what I announced here today in the demo or how it may apply to your tenancy, I will either answer them directly or I will forward them to the appropriate product manager that can help with the product that you have questions about. Additionally, if there are any products or features you saw today that you are interested in, many of them may be available through an early access program. Please reach out to myself and CC your account team if available, and we will see about enabling those features or letting you know where they are in the development lifecycle for your adoption. We also welcome your feedback, so if you have any, please also reach out and share the same. I'm going to go ahead and take a few questions, and I will answer them live here for you. First question I have here is, can I use IPv6 from on-premises networks? IPv6 from on-premises networks? Yes. So we offer a few different options for this. Most customers, when they're asking that question, are asking in the context of exercising their existing private connectivity. For example, they have connectivity utilizing IPsec VPN, or they have connectivity utilizing Fast Connect. And the way we can support this is you can enable V6 on those existing on-premises connectivity conduits, such as your Fast Connect connection or your IPv6 connection. And we create what's called like a dual stack, or a IPv6 BGP session over that conduit. And that enables IPv4 and IPv6 communications to your on-premises environment. From there, as long as you assign an IPv6 address to the VCN and cloud resource, and you assign the same to your on-premise, and you set up the routing correctly, those resources can communicate directly. If you want to go over the internet instead, that's also an option. Of course, if you have IPv6 internet access on your on-premise, you can also utilize traffic through an internet gateway to reach your IPv6 resources. All right, let's see here. What other questions? Just give me 1 second, please. I had a question here on how can we differentiate. Let's see, how can I word this? Questions is like, what some of the major differentiators for Oracle networking core services? It's actually a great question. I'd like to say that probably some of the featured highlights have to do with performance is a big one. And when we look at our networking performance, that when there's networking performance on a shape, bandwidth is more committed. It's not generally up to bandwidth. So it's more of like a non-oversubscribed basis. The other thing that I would say a lot of folks like is network is an enablement function. Like by and far, we want you to consume the network and have positioned it on as least cost basis as possible. And when I say that, you can scale your workload, you can talk between regions, you can send traffic as egress to the internet with minimal charges and without having to worry that your network consumption or the growth of your application is going to hinder adoption or hinder further growth. Flexible load balancer bill is also a big one. People like the IPv6 support on it, and I've also we have web application firewall and a private load balancer. So a lot of customers that are utilizing it's like enterprise applications and need a WAF solution, you can use our web application firewall directly on the private load balancer too. Another question here I have is Network Path Analyzer. Is this product GA? The product is not GA yet. I think it'll be there very soon. I mean, it's the best thing I can tell you. But I'll tell you what, if you want to try it out now, just send an email to that address there, and I can probably connect you with the resources to get it enabled for your tenancy, and you can give it a try. So just reach out and just let me know how I can help. When will question on observability metrics consumable for DRG service gateway, internet gateway? Our goal for most of these observability, and I do have to point out to the standard safe harbor disclaimer applies, but our goal is to have all the features that we talked to you here about today available for your consumption within the first half of this year. So I really hope that you'll see a very positive story in the next couple months. You can also reach out to me directly and I can give you an update if I hear more. But I I think you'll see that some of them are actually out there now. I know the resources that you said don't have them yet, but you can see it on the VNIC and some of the other resources, what is available today. See, I have one question here. Does the network visualizer reflect changes in real time? The answer to that is no. So the network visualizer, if you do make a change, you do need to refresh the topology. It's usually pretty quick. I mean, it might take 10, 20, 30 seconds, depending on the size of what you got going on in there. But what you can do is you can take a state of it and then make the change and go back, hit refresh, and then go look at the changes to see how that looks in your environment. The other, the plus side to this is the ability to see your topology in a static state. So if you're making changes to your environment, like such as a change management window or otherwise, you can actually utilize that snapshot feature to kind of understand what your topology is now, but both before and after the changes. So the only thing that will be real time is operational status. So the status of your IPsec connections, the status of the fast connect links and other stuff with an up down state. That is kind of the exception we made because we want customers to be able to kind of see the status of those resources on an overlay. Let's see here. We got time for probably just a couple more questions. Can I use IPv6 with all resource types in OCI? Very good question. IPv6 adoption, is a very large space. And I think what you'll see is it's going to take many of us many years to get to completely IPv6 only. I think that's just the reality with most networks that are out there in the world. And this transition's been happening for years for a lot of different network operators. Right now, our focus is to bring IPv6 to resources where it matters the most. And those include things like the load balancer and the network load balancer that support it today. And very soon, you're going to see IPv6 available on an expanded list of Oracle services that we provide and run on your behalf. And those are things like the PaaS and the SaaS and IaaS services that you've come to know and love. Our goal is any product release going forward is going to have this support, and all these products will, over time, have support fully backported to provide a native and conducive IPv6 experience for your adoption. If there's a specific service you're after, shoot me an email. I can probably do some research and find out where things are in this environment. Got one last opportunity for questions here. I'll give you one more minute, and then if not, we'll go ahead and get this closed up shortly. Again, I want to remind you, my email address is on the screen there. If you have anything that you've not been able to ask here live today, feel free to follow up afterwards. And otherwise, we'll close it here. Give me 1 second. I think I got one more coming in here. All right. I had a question here. What is the equivalent of, specifically the customer is asking about CloudFront and Route 53 for OCI? And the answer is a lot of the public DNS capabilities that you're using, OCI has a public DNS product. The public DNS product provides a lot of similar functionality, including very advanced traffic routing with a global Anycast delivery network. Can do things like failover, high request volumes, and it's actually a very mature and fairly widely adopted product. So I recommend you take a look at OCI public DNS. There's also an OCI private DNS component out of it, but I think the context to your question is on the public side. But we also have a private DNS solution, which provides full private DNS ecosystem support for working with your on-premises resource in records. And then for the CDN story, like what you would do for the CloudFront equivalent is right now, I would use one of the partnerships we have with CDN providers. For example, if you choose to use CloudFront, there'll be no egress fees. And that can give a very compelling story because your distribution costs from OCI for getting data to there is zero. So that matches what you may have been used to previously. Also, you can use any number of other CDN providers, even if they're not part of the partnership. We do have direct connectivity to a lot of them, and the cost is extremely minimal. You'll find it's less even fully delivered. And then finally, somebody asked if there's any costs associated with monitoring, or is it part of the cost of the existing structure? All the monitoring features I showed you today do not have any costs associated with them. I can say that very broadly. Metrics, monitoring, troubleshooting tools, visualization. We're not going to be charging for any of these tools that were shown here that are in that category. So they'll be included as part of your Oracle resource consumption on the cloud. Well, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. I think that's all the questions I have here today. I want to thank you very much for joining us. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out via email. Thank you very much.